YGA zirvesinin ilk gününde akşam seanslarına hoş geldiniz.
Welcome to the evening session of the YGA Summit.
Hemen yanıtlayalım.
Let me answer the question while you were on the stage in the morning. Where are you now? Well, we'll be at Harvard Business Review Turkey studios after the summit, and these sessions will enable us to be closer to each other in digital platforms. I will also frequently check messages on Discord and share your comments that catch my attention. In fact, let me answer one of them right away. One of our friends asks, I have a question session. I have a question session. What can I do? You don't need to worry. I have a question session will continue tomorrow with the YGA Dream Partners. Now I would like to invite one of the most anticipated names of the summit, Professor Mehmet Döner. He is the only scientist to hold a chair both at Harvard and MIT. He received the Webby Koch Award in the healthcare field in 2019. He enabled the production of many solutions in the healthcare industry. He is also a member of the U.S. National Engineering Inventors Association, and he has many solutions for cancer therapy. Despite his busy schedule, Mehmet abi comes to Turkey for 3 days. He spares 2 days with us. If he goes to Boston, he leaves his house to us and goes to a hotel. If you are able to make children love science, it is definitely thanks to him as well. When Mehmet abi is asked about the recipe for success, he says the union of the mind and the heart is the key. He will soon deliver an enjoyable presentation on the mind and heart, science and art. Immediately after, we will continue with Gökhan Hotamashligil, who is a professor of genetics and metabolism at Harvard University. He holds dozens of scientific achievements with his works. Actually, he gave a great news to the entire world 3 days ago, and the 10-year research activity is defined as a new sort of treatment for type 1 and type 2 diabetes. I'm very happy to introduce these scientists to you now. I will first have a connection with Mehmet abi. Mehmet abi, welcome. Welcome, Mehmet abi. Hi, how are you doing? I'm doing well. And you? I'm doing great. Unfortunately, I'm getting connected from Boston. If only I were there. That's fine, Mehmet abi. Our hearts are united. I'm leaving the stage to you. 10,000 young individuals are waiting with enthusiasm, and with excitement to listen to you. Hi, YGA members, young members, how are you? I look forward to this time of the year all the time. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to share the same platform for the last couple of years, but we are able to reach out to higher number of people thanks to Zoom. That's also great. This is a special day for me because I will introduce Professor Gökhan Hotamashligil to you. He is joining us for the first time in YGA. Gökhan is like a brother to me. We have a great friendship and I appreciate him as a scientist a lot. After my introduction part is complete, I will introduce him to you, but I wanted to state this at the outset. YGA young members, there was this survey last year which excited me. 90% of the respondents said we want to have breakthroughs. If they were asked 10 years ago, they would say I want to be a lawyer, I want to be an architect, I want to be literary people, but now you want to be entrepreneurs and make breakthroughs. That is something great in my opinion. YGA started as a dream 2 decades ago. Today we talk about entrepreneurs who have 2 wings, and this is a nest for them. You have great excitement inside of you to create innovatives, to make things from scratch and to create future. Actually, If you think of an entrepreneur and compare them with a scientist and artist, you see common points. All three are interested in unknown things, not the known things. They want to create something from scratch, and you are going to listen to a great account of it from your brother Gökhan. Actually, I define it as this story of people who know how to find their way in darkness when all the paths are consumed. And here, dear YGA members, you need to enjoy certain qualities in order to achieve that. And here, please think about the first and foremost characteristic. You should enjoy to have a breakthrough, to be a pioneer. Just rack your brains about what that should be. Then I will give you the answer. For me, that is what we call intuition in English. What is intuition and why is it important? Let's have a conversation about that. Malcolm Gladwell has this book titled Blink. He provides such a beautiful definition of that in that book. He says, intuition is the strength that comes with thinking without thinking. Such a beautiful definition, right? With your life, with your know-how, with your profession, you reach such a level that you develop intuition. I call it actually ascending. I call it ascending and taking off, where your feet are cut off from the ground. In the next speech, you're going to listen to Professor Gökhan, Brother Gökhan, who will tell you about his first projects with a lot of excitement, enthusiasm. He will tell you about a project which combines science and art together, and you will see how he is cut off from the ground. Maybe he will deliver his speech as he is seated, but you're going to see him ascending. Achieving that sort of intuition is very important in life, and you are fortunate because Turkey is going through a critical phase and it needs to move to a new phase. When you look at the Turkish Republic, starting with the proclamation of Republic, you see two phases. The first of which concerns the beginning of the Republic, where we didn't have any Turkish economy, or where we suffered from lack of educated people. But there's this big dream, there's this big aspiration of creating Turkey. So here we compiled all the information, know-how from the world, turning them into works, arts, and other products. So we actually acquired things from the world and enabled their purchase. Economy grew to a certain extent through that, but you cannot just sell things. You cannot grow only by selling things. After the 1980s, based on these requirements coming with wealth and higher education levels, we came to see that the first creators, the inventors, could be replaced by Turks in all around the world, be it textile, be it refrigerators, be it vehicles. And we started to sell those commodities and products not only to Turkey but the world over. So selling something by acquiring it from outside and processing it in Turkey was a new phase. But wealth cannot be achieved greatly either through that either. We need to now have firsts in Turkey so that Turkey can create that larger economy and prosperity. And here we need people that can do breakthroughs. Here I'm not saying that don't be an engineer, don't be a lawyer. Please don't get me wrong. Breakthroughs do not require a profession. Breakthrough requires you to do things for the first time. This is the perspective of people who likes failures and who likes achieving things through trial and error. More than 70% of the companies in the US actually shaped the future of the country through many firsts. You know some of them very well, and they are not small anymore. Apple, Google, Microsoft, Moderna, the company which produced a vaccine, Tesla, with a market of $1 trillion. Let me give you an example from MIT as a university institution. MIT has this innovation report, and when you look at the professors and students who are actively involved in the field, they have 25,000 companies, and the number of people employed there is 3.3 million, and their annual turnover, you cannot imagine, 1.1 is $1.1 trillion. An 8,000 student university has such an impact on the American economy, which is unbelievable, bigger than the Turkish economy, one of the top 10 actually economies in the world. That is where greatness of achieving firsts come from. Turkey is ready to achieve firsts with your contributions. We are going to move to a phase where we can change the world thanks to you. One of the philosophers, poets, French, Saint-Exupéry says, your goal is not anticipating future, but rather creating it. What a good way of stating it. You are the people who will create the future by achieving firsts. That's why I take great joy in the fact that you are going to be entrepreneurs who make breakthroughs in the future. I would like to give you a few more examples now that we talked about intuition. In 1985, Robert Curl, Richard Smiley, they are from the Rice University, by the way, researchers and professors at this university, and Harity Kroto is another researcher from the Sussex University, UK. They find a new molecule of carbon, C60, which consists of 60 clusters. And you are going to hear from your brother Gökhan that he will refer to metabolism. He will tell you that the function and structure of the cell are interrelated. However, this C60, this carbon molecule, is not discovered in terms of its structure yet. Kroto, in 1967 Montreal World Exhibition, submits this great work of art by Parkminster Fuller. There is this geodesic dome, and when he sees that work, he has this intuition likening that dome structure to C60. You are going to listen to that story from your brother Gökhan, who will tie it to completely somewhere else. So they sit down to study the chemistry of this product, and they actually create a molecule used in a plethora of products, and they get the Nobel Prize in 1969 thanks to that. So the relationship between the function and structure is revealed thanks to the intuition of Kroto. You won't believe maybe, but the same structure is seen in a football. C60, Parkminster Fuller inspires that, and it's called buckyball. It's like football. It's called buckyball. Speaking of football, one of the examples I like about intuition is Ronaldo, one of the best football players in the world. We can have a discussion. Some of you might say that it's Messi, but Ronaldo is not bad. One night, they take Ronaldo to record that video. You can find it, by the way, on the internet. They take him to a pitch in a completely dark night. You cannot see even the stars. So a person whips the ball from the corner, and Ronaldo, without having any vision, scores all the balls. So I told you previously that sometimes you ascend automatically, because after a while you internalize things. You start, as Gladwell said, you start thinking without thinking, you start feeling without knowing. So Ronaldo scores a goal with every pass. That is something unbelievable. So I hold this opinion, dear YGA young members. Intuition is the highest level of intelligence. You can accomplish it with so much effort. This is not innate. Kroto, Ronaldo, and Gökhan abi are the examples of it. You have to force your limits. You have to continuously make mistakes. Sometimes when we say mistakes, well, people get surprised, but there is nothing as beautiful as making mistakes. I think you definitely heard it from Sinan abi. He is an admirer of Yunus Emre. He knows everything from Yunus by heart. He has a great saying, and we are commemorating his 700th year. A person who doesn't make any mistake is a person who doesn't do anything. What a great sentence. So in this new journey of breakthroughs, in this new journey of entrepreneurship, unfortunately, our educational system, and here our educational system refers to the global educational system, not only the Turkish one, unfortunately, it doesn't tolerate error. It punishes errors, mistakes. We always actually teach you how to be perfect. We make you fear from mistakes, but be friends with errors and mistakes. Learn from your mistakes and do not fear making mistakes. Such a person cannot take risks, and if they don't take risks, they cannot achieve a first. You're going to stay within your comfort zone. You're not going to take one step further. In order to achieve a first, you need to set out for this unknown journey where nothing is clear. This is actually a journey with so many ups and downs and challenges. That's why you need to work hard and increase your knowledge level, achieving such a level that, like Ronaldo, you will be able to feel the sound of the ball or the pressure wave, sending all of those passes inside the goalpost with your head or feet. So please make friends with your mistakes. Learn the things at school, but do not be afraid of making errors or mistakes. I will wrap up my part by giving a few more examples from YGA, because I also look forward to his speech. He's going to share great things with you, and I am very thrilled as I await his speech. But let me refer to 6 YGA youth who had 3 projects. We know that science sets were sent to more than 500,000 people. When we do that, they ask, are we going to make all the people scientists? No, we are going to create curious people. We are going to create people with intuition. We're going to ensure that we will have people that voyage into the unknown, foray into the unknown. And 3 projects attracted my attention last year. One of them was sent to Doğan and Eyüp in the schools of the visually challenged. The project was titled The Eyes of the Visually Challenged. They take the science set, they look at servo engine and other sensors, putting their signature under something for the first time. The eyes of the visually challenged enable our friends with disabilities to navigate through their shopping experiences as they suffer from problems. So that's a first implemented by them at a very young age. We're talking about middle school and high school students. Burçin and Mehmet from Zonguldak creates this house rotating with sun. The climate change, increased temperatures, and the obligation to transition into more renewable sources of energy actually means we should create new designs to benefit from solar energy and others. And they achieved another first by taking a huge risk based on that science set. İdil and Tülay from Adana created a project which was titled Make Way for Life. Ambulances, by the way, I can refer to this anecdote where I went to a hospital with an American friend. There was so much traffic congestion that my colleague asked Mehmet, if there is an emergency, what does happen to people? How do you take them to hospital? 15 years ago, I was asked this question. İdil and Tugay actually provided a solution to this issue thanks to this science set, trying to come up with a solution. These are the most exciting projects for me because you take risks here. Transistors, sensors, and servo motors engines weren't known to these young people, but as people who do breakthroughs, they learn how to use their intuition. They learned about the details and they started to get swept off their feet at a young age. If you are going to make breakthroughs, and 90% of you wants to have breakthroughs, and I'm sure that all these 90% will be having breakthroughs, creating huge projects for Turkey. Please keep in mind that the products of such people, as in the words of Saint-Exupéry, is to create the future. So people with two wings who have an idea about the truth, who can decide by using their heart and mind, will always choose the easy way out in life. Whenever you encounter with a challenge, if you just make decisions based on your brain, you will choose an easy way out. You choose the beneficial route for you. But if you also use your heart in combination with brain, by the way, heart is here, not there. If you use your brain and heart together, you will find the right path. You will find the right route. That's why we give this takeaway message in this summit. On this beautiful journey, you are going to achieve first as young individuals. You're going to change the world as well as Turkey. We don't have any doubt. But in doing so, you should have double wings. You should think in a deep manner. You should think in correct terms. It is quite okay that you make mistakes. Learn how to fall and stand up again. I wish you all the best to you, young YGA members. You accepted me, you invited me. This is the most beautiful day of the year for me. But now I look forward to the end of my own speech so that we can switch to Gökhan abi's excellent remarks. I wish you, now I say goodbye. Thank you for inviting me again. Now we are going to listen to Gökhan abi.
Gökhan, hi, how are you? Hi, dear Mehmet. Thank you, how are you? I'm great. Well, I already told the guys I said Gökhan is basically a brother to me, he's a very good friend. And so here we are tonight. After all these years of being friends, we've reached a certain level that, I mean, as you know, I always talk about YGA, and it's such an honor that you're here with us now after all these years of work. So now it's a special day. Thank you for not saying no to me and for joining in. So let me introduce you, and then I'm really looking forward to your speech. I hope you are going to levitate as well when you're speaking. Maybe you can say things like he's such a lousy speaker, so that we're not going to be raising the expectations. No, well, I already talked about your Gökhan abi, but let me tell you a couple of things about him. When we say being a first, you're never going to find a better person than Gökhan in science and in arts. And we're actually going to have a conversation for about 15 minutes once he is done with his speech. So without further ado, I would like to introduce him very briefly before I give the floor to him. I think it would take about 30 minutes to fully introduce him, but I will do my best. At Harvard University's public health faculty, and I think he's been one of the first professors who was able to launch a new department. So he works on genetics and metabolism with J. Simmons, a J. Simmons professor. Also, he established a research center, which is very important because your Gökhan abi is leading this research center. It's a huge center, and it has it makes an incredible impact. He is also a member of the stem cell research at Harvard University. He's an immensely successful researcher, and he's one of the professors with the highest number of citations. He will likely have more contributions to the literature, but currently he is working on this phenomenon we call inflammation and its impact on many diseases, including obesity and diabetes. He is the person who actually found out about its impacts on different diseases. So last week he gave a speech about that. He has numerous awards. Your Gökhan abi has a huge number of awards. I'm not going to go into the details, but International Danone Award, Koç Health Award are among the prominent ones. Also, we're talking about making an impact by being the first, about pioneering. So Baku Minister Fuller and being able to use your intuition and seeing what's unseen in the art. We kept talking about that, right? So Gökhan actually took things one step further, and he has a collaboration with a digital artist called Refik Anatol, and it's the first of its kind too. So without further ado, Gökhan abiniz. Thank you. Thank you. Well, after all these beautiful words, I think I'm so worried that you're going to be disappointed. Hopefully that's not the case, but thankfully Memo, since we're very close friends, I'm allowed to say that. He said so many beautiful things about me, and perhaps he did so because we're such good friends. I actually wanted to be there very much. This remote connection is something that I don't like. It's really not enjoyable at all. And I can't even see myself on the screen, so I feel like I'm talking to this empty computer screen. So I don't know how I'm going to keep being motivated, but we'll see. So first of all, thank you for including me in this excellent program and allowing me to be part of this celebration. I will mostly talk about this one project today. And this project is basically aimed at taking you on a journey to the very center of the cell. So I would like to congratulate YGA once again for this event and for its mission, actually. Thanks to Mehmet, I had the opportunity to get to know YGA, and they visited our laboratories here. it's very impressive because there is an organizing committee that works with heart and soul. So thank you very much for all your hard work. So I think the most important thing that I would like to say is that I'm here speaking to you, but there's more than just me who makes sure that all of these things are happening. You can see the team on the screen. They are making all the sacrifices they can because they opted to work with us by making sacrifices, and they made great contributions. So I would like to give all the credit to them. Mehmet already mentioned that right now at Sabri Ülker Research Center, we're working at Sabri Ülker Research Center. Its emergence, its establishment is thanks to Ülker family's support, of course. They help us carry out these projects. So I will be talking to you about the projects, but if I, as a professor, write to an international organization about such projects, it's likely that it's going to be ignored or not going to be taken into consideration. Even if it is, I don't think it will get the budget or permission it needs. So you need patience, you need hard work for such projects. And you can only actualize them with support from certain institutions. So that's a privilege that I would like to highlight. It's very important for us. So I actually added this, so it's a little bit funny. I'm working with students and assistants, and it's very difficult to pronounce my name in USA, which is why I have a video about how to pronounce my name. They actually put up this video about how to pronounce my name. But when you look into it, you can see the solidarity and uniting force of the department per se. And without any problems, we are able to work there, more than just mispronunciations. And there's great diversity thanks to the science. I think it's a gift from the science in which we delve in. So what we would like to know is about a healthy system and how a healthy system works. So how does the body diverge from this healthy system and opens its doors to illnesses? So my perspective to that is that if we're talking about a human being, we're talking about an organism with genes and proteins, etc., and so on. It's a living being. This infrastructure has a certain capacity, and this capacity has to keep up with external and internal stress factors. So if there is negotiation between these factors, we call this adaptation or harmony, in which case we are healthy. But if this infrastructure faces certain external factors or stress factors and it cannot adapt, disease or illnesses might arise. So by factors, I'm talking about internal and surroundings and external surroundings, maybe. So by external, I'm talking about microbes, diet or metabolism. These are things that we are working on. But this concept, this notion itself, is more than that. You can actually apply it to social factors, because biology has reached a certain point where it's possible to understand the biology of this part. Think about pollution and toxic environment. You can actually adapt this whole system to these other factors. So what I would like to talk about today is this internal biological infrastructure. At its very core, there's an architecture, and by rearranging this architecture, we can contribute to this adaptation or not. That's basically the gist of what I'm talking about. So it's a relationship between form and function. When it's designed in architectural terms, form always determines function. This is actually a general belief. So if you're going to build a bridge, that bridge makes sure that you can drive over it. So the firmer or the tougher the structure is, or the stronger your materials are, the longer that bridge is going to survive. Or think about the huge halls and palaces, buildings. So when you think about them, there are functions offered by them, but they are limited and static. So then, let's think back on biology. What about the relationship between form and function in biology? The form that I'm talking about here is the form inside the cell, which I'm going to cover today. And then there is the other part that I cannot cover today, the forms that cells make up between themselves. So you can think about it like this. If form did not matter, the organs did not have to specialize. You can just put all the materials in one box and then you can put them in the body. Genes and proteins, metabolics, lipids and fats, you can put everything in one box and they would do whatever is necessary, but it wouldn't be this complicated. But unfortunately, that's not how this system works. And we want to see this, we want to observe this. And as Mustafa Kemal Atatürk has said, we would like to understand, we would like to infer meaning from it. That's the summary of this project. So how did we think about this? When we look at cells, look at the different cells. Here is a pancreatic cell. Under the electron microscope, this is how it looks. A liver cell is quite different. When you look at the brown fat cell, they are different. When you look at the white cell, it's different. So it's really not possible that you can talk about a molecular architectural design. There are minuscule forms there. So then, if all cells are different in terms of their internal architectures, and if these differences change things in health and in sickness and in health, there must be a function underneath them. So basically the question that we're asking ourselves, it's very simple. But simplifying things like this has taken decades maybe. As you simplify the question, the answer becomes more and more difficult, but it also becomes more beautiful. So there are two more people that I would like to give credit to. One is Güneş, a friend, a physician who studied in Istanbul, who's been working with us for 5 years, and actually the architectures of this project are these two beautiful people. They have spent all this time before a microscope. Finally, they fell in love and got married, and now they moved to Berkeley University of. They're going to move to Berkeley University of California to set up their own lab there. The truth, the reality, the truth behind this project is these two people. So. The method that we used through collaboration, Harold Hess and Sean Chu had used this other new technology to see things clearer, because what we want to achieve is the highest clarity allowed by light, which is why we're using this technology called PIXAM. So you take you take one part of the dissection, and instead of looking at it with different lenses, you just take one part of the tissue, which is actually the piece of tissue that is observed in the largest way, in the closest way possible. And I'm going to tell you what it means. So for every 4 nanometers, we dissect one part. So we burn it with a laser, and then we take an image, and we actually do the same thing over and over and over again. So this procedure, is completed within 1 cubic meters, because it's 100 microns times 100 microns, etc., etc. But just for you to imagine, it's basically the tip of the needle, but it's millions of times smaller than this. I'm telling you this so that you can understand how complicated this is. So I'm talking about this volume. 1,000th of a tip of the needle point, actually. You can imagine that this is how big it is. So now we're advancing through this tissue. Everything that you're seeing on the screen, they are structures within the cell. The mitochondria, the lines are endoplasmic reticulums, etc., etc. So afterwards, the segmentation, annotation, making sense of everything that you see here must be concluded in a 3D image. so that we can actually understand what it means. This means that we need an effort that's going to take a few years at the very least, because you can't really convey this to a computer screen, and the computer cannot do it by itself. You need to introduce everything, you need to use machine learning, you need AI for that, and there are many mistakes while you are conducting machine learning, etc., etc. So, at first glance, this is what we see. In the cell, you're actually seeing a tiny little part within the cell. It's highly dense, it's highly concentrated, with incredible organization. This is how a healthy cell looks like. So naturally, what we wanted to do is to observe a healthy tissue, and this is what we have seen. But what happens when there's a disease in question? So this is what we have seen just now. The very same procedure was conducted with a liver cell from an obese person. So this is the exact same image but the cells belong to a normal person and an obese person. So I actually, my eyeballs popped out when I first saw this, because when I first saw the 3D image, I just couldn't believe my eyes. It looks like a completely different cell and not a liver cell at all. There are certain functions that it can fulfill still, but as you can see, all the harmony and all the organization has turned into this chaotic system. Certain structures are completely destroyed. So this means that if we come to this point, and Mehmet has already mentioned this, so I mean, let me say this. After we collect all these images, and the volume of everything that I've mentioned can reach up to 40 terabytes. So then here's the question that we have to ask. How can we infer more information, more knowledge from these 40 terabyte image load? So at which point we were introduced to Refik Anadol. Deniz Otamışlıgil, my niece, introduced us actually. So while I was talking about this, my niece said, maybe check out the work of Refik Anadol. So when I looked at it, this was the first thing that I saw. When I saw this, and this is a data sculpture, it's full of movement, it's very active. This is a data set that does not tell you the meaning. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it's one of the databases of big data that Refik was using. So I contacted Refik, and I said, I need your visual creativity, and do you want to use it for this project? And he was so excited. He's actually very modest and scientifically curious by nature. Just like me, when he's curious about something, he really wants to delve deep into what he wants to know. And he has such a positive personality. So we found out what we have chemistry, and then we set out on this project. Maybe we can talk about it more when Mehmet joins us. His artistic creativity and, I mean, his magical fingers, let's say. After a lot of failure and failed attempts, his magical fingers were able to turn it into something completely different. Perhaps this is going to be the most remarkable thing that I will show you today. Everything that you see here is real, except for the colors. So this is this is actually the structure of a cell, but a very tiny little cell part. The red ones are mitochondria, the white and gray parts are endoplasmic reticulums. So being able to navigate through this membrane is just incredible, because you can see how different parts of a cell contact and collaborate with each other. Now you can see, you can live in it. I mean, we are still at a very early stage, but this tiny little journey has never been done before, because you can see what's inside the cell. You can take a look at the cell from inside the cell. So remember this. This is the structure of a healthy liver cell. So let's take a look at the image from an obese liver cell. So these are the lipid parts in a healthy liver, in an obese liver cell. As you can see, the membrane organization has completely vanished, and you can see these tubes. there are certain functions that can be fulfilled by the endoplasmic reticulum, but not by other organs. You can see this new structure. So by using it, we can actually take away some building blocks. For example, there's a single mitochondria here. It's a healthy mitochondria. And we can see how they interact. An endoplasmic reticulum and mitochondria interacts. So this is so for an animal who is starving, this is how it works. It's basically like a hand and a glove. That's how they fit together. And once that stress factor is eliminated, they just go their separate ways. So during the pandemic, this actually surprised us in a beautiful way, because what I've already shown you was included in Dennis Biennale. We collaborate as we did so before. We collaborated with Refik Anadol, and this was a great development from the last year. So I would like to tell you once again, the field organizing team and Sabri Ülker Foundation, I would like to thank them because they have financially supported us. Unless they did so, it would have been impossible for us to do that, naturally. So one last thing before I finish. So this function is distorted, okay, but what does it mean? Does it happen indefinitely? Is there a reason or is there a cause? Can we fix it? Can we change the function? That's a very important question. So to answer this, I will show you one experiment. It's basically about being a seamstress in modern times, because you have to deal with needles and sutures. So we can try to fix what's wrong in the liver. Maybe we can call it fixing. So this is the poor liver. We started the repair and we did so for a few weeks, but we noticed at the end that certain organizations emerged that we had not expected before. These parallel membranes started to emerge after the interventions from our side. And functionally speaking, this yielded a great result. So this is a dissect from the fatty liver. So after a while, we have seen these liver cells started to improve. So we only changed the form. By the way, these animals are obese, genetically modified obese animals. So we only intervened with the structural change, and the function was dramatically changed. So obviously now it's possible. What I'm trying to say is that, to wrap up, I can say this: in a classic architectural approach, there's a particular relationship that I already mentioned between form and function, but in the biological approach, function is making an active demand to form. It says, I have to produce insulin right now. So once the liver decides to do that, the structural changes that are required are conducted, and the tools that are used to that end become suitable for this function to be fulfilled. And it's very fast in doing that. So the static form, it's out of the question, because the structure is very active, very dynamic, and it responds very rapidly to the warnings it receives. So maybe you can think of this question. I mean, you can think about hundreds and thousands of questions. How does the liver decide on what form to assume? Which signal tells it to do so? What mechanisms are there to understand what the signal means? What tools are used to take away these walls and stick them on different parts? So there are hundreds of questions, and they would take very long to solve. But the beautiful thing is that, as I've already mentioned in the beginning, looking at something as a concept, but seeing is something completely different. Being able to see something means that if we can have a healthy and simple outlook on things, we can get closer to the truth. So I'd like to conclude my speech with the words of Yunus Emre. Seeking the truth is possible through science and art, but once they both come together, it's a source of sheer excitement. and it's an incredible instrument in reaching the truth. As Yunus Emre has mentioned, he said this 700 years ago, actually. Throw away whatever separates you from the truth, because it will vanish anyway. So having said that, thank you very much. Now, I'm looking forward to our little conversation with Mehmet.
Thank you, dear Gökhan. I guess we are starting a chat according to our schedule now. This has been a great presentation, a great speech. I want to tie that to my speech for YGA members, young members. I said putting your signature under first is a tremendous thing and it requires hard work. You referred to actually a few firsts of yours. Have you used your intuition? For example, you said if I had written down this proposal, they wouldn't have even funded it. But that didn't stop you. That's what I want to tell young people. Your family, your parents will say, don't do this at all. People who love you don't want you to take risks, dear young people, because they always want to protect you, thinking that you will be sad if you fall down. So always take risks. If someone says no to you, if a few guys will just object to you, just keep doing. What did Gökhan abi said? I'm very curious, like Refik Anadolu, and I always follow my curiosity. These were the messages, hopefully, that are communicated to you. And sometimes you might say have an intuition, etc., at a higher level, but Gökhan abi tied that to a reality. There are people doing that in arts, there are people doing that in literature, as well as the business community. But Gökhan abi excited us so much. Remember, I told you that your feet are going to be swept off, and that's what he did. I have a few questions, dear Gökhan, but you referred to the difficulty of your surname. Let me remind you this. 30 years ago, I said change the surname before you become famous. Remember? It is not an easy feat. I mean, your first name is okay, but your surname is difficult to pronounce in the United States. I'm one of the lucky ones. I'm quite... Toner is fine both in English and French. Thank you very much for your speech, Gökhan. And you referred to a quote by Yunus Emre, actually an area of specialty expertise by Sinan and others. They get great inspiration from him, and actually you quoted one of the best sentences of Yunus Emre. But unfortunately, we see not only in Turkey, that all around the world, that we started to get separated from each other. This phenomenon called social media enables people to put across so much information and not necessarily the good use of it. So, when I ask you about the situation of your reality, what would you say? I'm curious. Thank you very much. If only I had listened to your advice regarding my surname. So you see, I have a strong intuition. Yes, when you are a young person, you turn a deaf ear to people around you. So one of the mistakes we have committed in history, I can say, actually a civil servant at the passport unit said, change your surname, you cannot survive with it, you can make it Abraham Lincoln or whatever. I said, no, that's fine, I will continue as is. What you're saying is very true, Mehmet. My first message is actually about reality as the most exciting phenomenon in the world. And when we partner with artists, we try to present and see the reality in its naked form, and before everyone, maybe. And after you meet with reality, you cannot possibly put your resources to unreal things. Unfortunately, we are in a horrific situation in the world. The talent to find reality is very well advanced, but on the other hand, we see this great war with it. There is this explosion of science as well as a fight against it. Therefore, I welcome such a meeting very enthusiastically because appreciating the value of reality and actually placing it higher than other things is important. I was having this conversation with a Nobel Prize winning scientist. The outcome was this is not a war where there is no victory. We always have to continue our struggle and not give up. And that's what you also stated. Occasionally, when you are young, for example, you want to make fast progress. You want to ascend to a very high place, but sometimes you need to pause. Otherwise, as in the case of Icarus, you can burn your wings by getting very close to the sun. So, learning and accomplishing things without making mistakes is a difficult task. And maybe we should cut down on news stories to better understand the world. We should cut down on commentaries. We should put aside our phone for a while. We should look at the world as much deeply as possible. And it is one of the actually saddening issues. You are right, very right. I tell young people that if you separate your brain and heart from each other in the decision-making mechanism, if you just decide by your brain, you strive for success. Your your goal in life is not getting awards. It is serving humanity as a scientist, as a business person, as a teacher, as an artist. I always say that life is a marathon. It is not a 100-meter sprint. You have to be very careful about that. I'd like to talk about your interest in art, but while listening to your speech, I came to realize that maybe one of the biggest breakthroughs in this century is Watson Crick's discovery of DNA, which changed the entire world. Actually, this was a 2-page Nature article, and in this they referred to function and structure, saying that you cannot find function without finding structure. And Mr. Fuller's example about intuition took us to that molecular structure, and then we started to have brand new products thanks to that molecule, as in the example of DNA. Now you are taking it to a completely new level where the cell level connection is established between the function and form. That's why I want actually young people to appreciate it. If you are not acquainted with a topic, you cannot acknowledge its importance. So you are bringing together the function and cell in a structure as complex as the cell itself. You looked for that connection and you found an artist to better differentiate that. Can you tell us a little about how that partnership was initiated? What intuition inside of you made you say, speak with Refik Anadolu? How did you feel that this would be the right thing to do? Can you tell a little about it? Actually, I refer to the striking and attractive side of it, but it was first spawned back in 1993 with Ana Paula Areda, another great science woman, joining us from Brazil. So when we were discussing it at Microsoft we were studying the liver, and we would think of it as an entire entity through the microscope. And we said we don't look at the images, the scans of liver. And she had a simple electron microscope experiment, and we saw greater things to study. That's how this idea came into being. However, we lacked the technology. We always had in mind that we needed an elaborated examination of it, but we didn't have the technology. We produced the data, but we weren't able to observe it as we liked it. I mean, we were able to achieve things until that very green stage. The computer capacity, our creative level, and artistic perspectives were not enough though. So when I saw Rafik's particular work, I said, well, this is what I need to do. That's how the intuition was born. Buckminster's Crota's geodesy, I mean, like discovery of the geodesy structure in that dome, right? Well, it has been, this question has been sort of bothering me for 9 years back then, and after a phone call, that excitement sort of was passed on to her, because she has this insatiable curiosity as well. We thought of many things. Of course, all of them turned out to be unsuccessful. The systems collapsed. So you say error? Yes, yes. But Refik didn't give up. He said, let's do something like that. We're going to have something great out of it. That didn't happen, but still we had beautiful outputs. And we came to accomplish that great result, which represents actually 5% of the data set. I mean, we are able to observe only 5% of it, and we intend to show a more detailed perspective, a more detailed section with more elaboration. Very well said, Gökhan. That's what I want YGA members to understand. Achieving firsts doesn't necessarily mean doing something radical altogether. Bringing even the function and form at a cell level will hopefully bring a Nobel Prize to you, helping all of us take pride in that achievement. Mehmet, can I add something there? This can be also beneficial for our audience. We always need to work with people to overcome problems, challenges. I mean, a takeaway lesson can be as such. Sending emails, sending messages to someone, I mean, wouldn't be enough for you to collaborate with somebody. In order for you to persuade them to spare time and energy for you, to support you implement that idea, you have to explain things and excite them. You have to pass on that depth and thrill. That is a crucial aspect. As you approach people, you should keep in mind that they are not there to serve you. They have their own goals. So you should have a win-win approach, finding common grounds as a source of excitement. Very well said. Very well said. Young people from Turkey keep saying, let's do this, professor, let's do that, professor, but you say that you need to create actually a basis before asking a question. Everyone has a limited time in the world. That's why actually the preparedness of the one posing the question is all the more important. So, your partnership with Refik Anadol maybe led to a huge surprise for you. Okay, you started this with a big intuition, but I'm sure there were certain unexpected things for you. Like, I haven't thought of it, but it has been great. Or maybe you're saying, well, I expected to see that, but that didn't come to materialize. Is there anything that's positive or negative, like a eureka moment for you? Well, we come to memorize things we say, but actually I appreciated that I'm well away from that point. I mean, I said I can communicate this data to Refik very quickly. I mean, I couldn't perceive even 40 terabytes of data. I mean, how he would send that to me. That was a very arduous challenge. We said, okay, we're just going to transmit it. Refik will just play his tricks, will do his work, and that will come into fruition. That was the first dramatical disappointment, finding the right format and finding appropriate method requires you to work on it for months. So these are examples where our expectations were far from reality, and Refik has these game engine software products used for games. When we were there and discussing with Refik, he said, well, we have this great capacity, long-awaited capacity now, and let's integrate into the game program. I said that was the first breakthrough for us. And then we had a meeting 1 week later to see that outputs started to flow, content started to flow from that. That was a very exciting moment. And Venice Biennale accepted this study, which was actually a great surprise. That is something completely unexpected for a scientist. Biology taking place in a platform dedicated to art is very inspiring for me, because the architectural designs within biology enables us to look at something more and more complicated than what we do as human beings. I mean, the theme here was in the Venice Biennale how we can coexist. I mean, biology spent billions of years to create these elegant systems, and it was unexpected that they would take it into account. That was like once in a lifetime development for me, although it's a symbolic development. So here we see the ramifications of this phenomenon, the way how design will take place by learning things from biology, by actually presenting, revealing it to everyone. Very true, indeed. Young YGA members may not know the Venice Biennale very well. This is one of the biggest arts platforms in the world that take place on an annual basis. It is generally based on sculpture and painting. In 1 year, it is based on architecture. The next year, this time, there was this first of submitting a work of biology to this biennale, which is not an easy feat. This dates back to 30 years ago, a huge source of intuition and errors, mistakes and errors. Dear Gökhan, I'm checking this screen. I know your house. I know that you are very curious about art. There are sculptures behind. You are a huge collector. You have this keen interest in art. Can you tell us a little about what kind of art you like? How does art move you? How does it fill you with joy? Can you tell us about it? Because when we are together, we talk more about art than science. So, can you tell us a little about your personal life? Well, sure. I mean, I like putting places that give me some relaxation. I shouldn't be cited as a collection person. My relationship with art started at a like old age, at a further age, but I deem them very valuable, because what an artist goes through is similar to what a scientist does, because they are like the victims and addicts of creativity in their lives, and they have this endless quest in their life journey. Finding something and creating a great work of art may make you famous, as in the case of this invention or a piece of article that brings you awards. So the satisfaction you get in that quest is sort of neglected at the end of that journey. So arts remind me of modesty in that sense. And the miracle of art is that we don't have any digital work of art in our home. They are like pictures, statues, sculptures. Every time I take a look at those works, I manage to see something different. And the freedom administered when creating that is different. As I stated earlier, no one would have funded this project if we had written it down. If an artist said, give me 3 types of red paint, give me 6 tones of shades of blue, I mean, give me a brush, I will write, I will just do this, I will just do that. I mean, people would just like laugh at you. But if you show that approach to an artist, but that's what we see as scientists. They say, just tell us about your inputs, just tell us about the outcomes, the desired outcomes. They don't give us like a piece of paper or paints or brushes or canvases as they are. That's why art gives me this tranquility and a peace of mind. Second, experimenting, reading scientific articles, they are not enough, Mehmet. Of course, there have been times where I will think of experimentation for 20 hours a day, but then that makes you process and product oriented. What you do doesn't give you much pleasure, because you keep doing that without thinking about it. But when you think again, when you go beyond looking at your works, when you start seeing, when you start communicating with those works, you start developing another perspective as well as creative works. And arts make a huge contribution to that perspective. Sometimes you just keep looking at the experiment and you cannot hear what it is saying. But some artistic perspective and like taste enables you to see something else as a tool. When you start seeing that different thing, you start going outside the box. That's the biggest benefit I get from art, combining those things that normally look like different from each other. Very well put. That's why I tell young YGA members, volunteers in my previous speeches that you work on biceps, triceps, etc., etc. You play football, you do workouts, you do exercise, but brain is a muscle too. But you just make one side of brain work. If you're an artist, you use that part. If you are another person, you use another part. If you make all the brain muscles work, actually that intuition will sweep you off the ground, because one part of the brain deals with art, another part deals of the brain deals with science, math, and other fields. So please regard brain as a muscle and make different parts of it work. It is important. By the way, coming back to this concept of making mistakes, I can say that the Prussian Empire, the last actually ruler of Germany, Wilhelm Mark, saw the invention of this Mercedes car. Wilhelm is against that vehicle. By the way, there are those actually signs as well as epaulets, etc. He is the Empire of Prussia and Austria, and I went to this museum in Stuttgart. You go to the very top floor, the 4th floor, you enter the museum. By the way, please go to the museums, dear young friends. It is critically important to learn about history. There's this completely white horse at the entrance of the museum, Willem's horse, and below it reads like this. Willem was thinking that car is an ephemeral enthusiasm and horses will be permanent. The guy believed in horse. I mean, if you talk with anyone back then, you would hear people saying that horse is the future. So do not just believe in people with higher authorities. Continue to pursue your life aspirations. So I know that majority of young YGA people love art because I have been to this summit 4 or 5 times at least before the pandemic, and we met with them in Eskişehir and other parts of Turkey, and they reinvigorated me. They kept me young. They made the life more beautiful in my eyes, and I really want them to be develop interest in art. So my final question will be about your recommendation concerning a bigger place for arts in their lives. Arts, literature, and other similar phenomena are deemed actually as secondary in our country as well as in the other parts of the world. What kind of an advice can you give? Then we will finish our conversation and I'll come over to you for dinner. Well, I think we have addressed these aspects enough, but let me highlight something once again. Be it biology, be it culture, there is no element that is as enriching as diversity. When you look at the authoritarian or autocratic regimes in the past, you see the mistake of making things homogeneous. Homogeneity means ending things as they are, be it cultural, be it biological, be it human related. So, when we talk about science itself, achieving a homogeneous structure isn't something desired. That diversity means a huge momentum for you. It can be about your culture, it can be about your perspective, it can be about humanity, brains programmed with different cultures perceive things differently. All 8 of us read the same article and our attention is attracted to somewhere else because we hail from China, India, Germany, Turkey, with different mindsets. We have different competencies when it comes to combining literature and such. That's why that diversity is an empowering thing for humans in the life itself. And when it comes to administering science, per se, we should include diversity as much as possible. So here, the enriching things concern expressive things like literature, creating narratives out of it. And here you need to talk. And to talk, you need to read and know about literature. Also, in order to impress people, you should understand how those stories are turned into visuals. And in order to see, you need to develop a perspective. So all of these elements have enriching impacts, and that doesn't happen like overnight. Growth cannot be just accelerated. It takes place in a gradual fashion. So we should be able to tolerate that. We should know that nothing can grow and finish very quickly. You cannot run this marathon at 100 kilometers per hour. Sometimes you need to slow down, you need to check your environment and benefit from that diversity. That's maybe how we can end this session. Dear young YGA members, please listen to this speech by your Gökhan Abi for many times because there are so many deep messages. You will benefit from this speech greatly because people from different backgrounds will look at the same thing and lead to the production of great results. Thank you very much for accepting our invitation, dear Gökhan. YGA members learned great things from you. It's great to have you here. Let's finish it as we have used our time. Dear Gökhan abi, Mehmet Hocam, thank you very much. We actually listened to two great scientists in the world, and we witnessed how clear-headed people you are with small egos. And actually, you showed us that the science is not a far theme, but rather something from life. Thank you for showing that. Thank you, Ayça. Thank you. Bye-bye. Now, I saw that beautiful remark from our participants watching our live broadcast. It says, Mehmet Hoca refers to work and good heart all the time. Otherwise, if he said, I worked hard and I found the success through my talents, we would say he is a great person by himself, but he refers to heart, and I saw that in Aziz Sancar's speech. Thank you for actually putting across our feelings. It is great that we are seeing Professor Gökhan's sharings for the first time. Thank you to both professors again, and thank you to our audience for joining this interview. Now I will refer to another question from Discord before proceeding. They ask, how can I support the mobilization of science? By clicking actually the science mobilization button, Bilim Seferberliği, on the right side of your screen. You can choose the donation amount that suits you so that you can bring science sets to children with limited opportunities but unlimited dreams in Anatolia. Our professors refer to art a lot, and we covered that in the morning session. This year's summit addresses the harmony of science and art. Now we reach to another art activity. Normally, Erol Tabanca and İdil Tabanca will join us in this summit, but they are at the opening of a new exhibition at Odunpazarı Modern Museum, and they opened the doors of this exhibition to YGA participants before anyone else. Now we are connecting to that Odunpazarı Modern Museum. Let's see what awaits us there.
So we're at Odunpazarı Modern Museum. Erol Tabanca wanted to have this museum here because we are originally from Eskişehir. He has a collection that he has been collecting since the last 3 decades, and he wanted to share it with his hometown, which is why we have this museum at this time and this day. He's a very special architect, and we wanted to focus on these topics. We wanted to work with him because he is #1 in his field. The wood that is used in the museum is acquired from ecological forests, which means that when you cut down one tree, you plant 2 more. So this is a living museum. We want to make sure that this culture survives, and we want this culture to thrive. And I think the best way to do that is to build a living museum instead of a static museum. We want people to feel like they belong. So our exhibition is called Don't Look in the Past, It's a Deep Thing. And the theme is about the conflicting and painful relationship between society and individual through customs and traditions. The society has a particular role for the individual, maybe a mold, maybe even a role that is a predetermined role, and this is what the exhibition examines. We have 31 artists, Turkish artists, in our exhibition. And I would also like to tell you a little bit about the name, Don't Look Back, Deep is the Past. It's actually the slogan from a truck. While we were designing this exhibition, we wanted it to be both artistic and funny. So that's what you see on the bumper stickers on trucks. Sometimes they make you think, sometimes they make you laugh, and this is a ritual Turkey. So we focused on truck bumper stickers, and we focused on them for days. And Don't Look Back Deep is the Past is actually in accordance with the theme of our museum, which is why we selected it. It actually has its own funny side, which is why which is why we selected it. It's thoughtful and it's funny. This is a piece that I really think is important. It's from Zeren Gökten. Bir ihtimal daha var. There's still a possibility. This was made by the convicts from in Istanbul, and you can actually recognize it because it's often made in prisons. So there's a QR code here. When you scan through it, it directs you to Anıt Sayaç. Anıt Sayaç is a website with a counter listing the number of women who have lost their lives because of violence against women. This is a very important piece because it was inspired by creating an area from unexpected places. I think it's really important because the convicts are helping women make their voices heard. There is a great alliance here, and I think it's very special. Sinan Tuncay, Mahrem ve Umumi, private and public. So Sinan Tuncay is one of our young artists and is also a director. Sinan Tuncay in this piece wanted to convey, was inspired from a miniature tradition of Ottoman. So this is a collage just like that. This is Bride Hamam, Wedding Night, Adak, Gayrimeşru, Illegitimate, and Namaz Prayer. So these are pieces from the same artist. Basically, the artist wanted to focus on the social role of a private moment and the conflicts of these two situations. That's what he wanted to highlight. This is a fork in the road. You can see two figures. One is a child, the other is a woman, and they are sharing a headscarf. So what the artist means here is that they have their fates are bound because the identity codes that the society attaches on you just do that because you're a woman. And at the top you can see two different road signs showing two different paths, and on them you can see that the letters are basically erased because they don't have the function to direct you anymore. So the artist here means that women do have the opportunity to choose their paths, but since they don't have a road sign in the society, they are left alone with their fates. And this is another piece depicting a female figure in the home, and she is carrying a burden that is much heavier than she can carry, and this load is covering her face, covering her identity, if you will. So Don't Look Back Deep is the Past exhibition begins today. We're going to have a lot of showings and workshops and many more events. We would like to share all of them with YGA family, so we would like to see you all at Odunpazarı Modern Museum. We would like to thank Odunpazarı Modern Museum for opening the doors. Now, we are going to begin Sound of the Upside project. We have had on the stage Beril and Elif Hanım to talk about Sound of the Upside project. This is actually going to be a first. This project is going to be the first that we're going to actualize with the support from Koninklijk der Nederlanden and Istanbul Consul General, with collaboration of YGA, IKSV, and Beats by Girls. There have been many active messages from Discord, and we have covered many voices from Discord, and they are directly connected with the summit's theme, and they are actually how they are going to come together for a hopeful, more beautiful world. I'm very excited, and I will connect to Beril in a moment, but first I would like to tell you a little bit about tomorrow's topic. Professor Gergraus Obi, Science Mobility Role Model Teachers, Sangeeta Bhatia from MIT, Professor Sangeeta Bhatia from MIT, Kenan Poleo and Aziz Emre Günal from UK Istanbul Consul General, Anthony Ginman, polar explorer of polar and innovator of educational technologies, Luis Valente for customized medication, and Daniel Dolsteinberg, co-founder of Aidon Base. Now I will leave the floor to Beril, and we're going to have Dilan Balkay, Deniz Taşar, Esin Aydingöz, and Mirthi from the Netherlands. Beril, hi. Hi, Ayça, how are you doing? Thank you, Beril. How are you? How are your preps? Great. Are you tired? Are you okay? Nope, not tired at all, and I'm so excited. Because, I mean, for months we have been conducting all these meetings on Zoom. It was all because we wanted to experience this moment. So I will be following on you and your guests and the voices coming from Discord. So you actually gave us a hint. Mete's Ox sound was used. So without further ado, I would like to give you the floor. Thank you very much and see you. Have fun. So if we're ready, let's start the project, Sound of the Upside. Now, while we are beginning, I would like to talk about Beats by Girls, YGA, and YGA and how we collaborated together. So, just briefly, because this collaboration is great, and I think this project deserves a few more words. Now, I will probably have to talk about something. I mean, we have volunteers from YGA, we have summit participants, you are actively using Discord, you are watching the live stream, and you are constantly reacting. I think this is exciting and perfectly beautiful. And it's great to be here. So let me just tell you about Beats by Girls briefly. I actually told you this in the morning, but it's a music and technology initiative. It's actually a social innovation, and it's completely international. It's where music and technology are used to empower young girls and women. There are over 35, as of this moment, over 35 active locations of Beats by Girls. Included in this location are London, Paris, South Africa, Germany, Spain. So it's really, really international because you can find it in all locations across the world. So as Beats by Girls, we started our project in June with Erin Baray, founder of Beats by Girls. I actually knew her from a long time ago. So we basically started in 2017, and we constantly talked about whether or not we should stay in Turkey or not. But at some point I said, I want to have an international project, but I want to introduce Turkish women and young girls with this project. And I decided to do that during the pandemic. After I graduated from Boğaziçi University's Poli-Sci program, and then I studied at Berkeley on electrical sound and musicology. So I started this project. So how did we come together? Let me tell you a little bit about that, basically what I've been talking about so far. As Beats by Girls Turkey, first of all, we prep our own educational programs. We had one during the summer for young women between 18 and 30 ages. We had a training program. And now we started Module 2. And very soon it's going to be completed. But at the same time, we also have another project of where we introduce civil society to NGOs. And Sound of the Upside project is basically like this. So first of all, we wanted to get together with Istanbul Culture and Arts Foundation, and Elif Hanım and Irmak talked to us when we were in Istanbul. So we talked about what we can do, especially with the help of the foundation. What can we do for children and for young girls? because that was a time when there was emphasis on that, on this target audience. So then they told us about YGA and the activity that they're going to hold at the summit, and they asked us whether or not we want to be part of it. Then this very important process began for me. I got to meet the team of YGA because I actually gotten to know the idea of YGA. So here's what it meant for me. Sinan Bey, if you're watching, I know that you're going to be annoyed because I call you Sinan Bey, but still, I'm not going to just say Sinan. I'm going to call you Sinan Bey. So Sinan Bey and I, we've gotten together and to have breakfast with Ayça, and we actually met each other over Zoom meetings. So Sinan Bey told me at length about what it means, what YGA means, and at that breakfast meeting I actually found out that we went to the same school. So basically we were in the same school for a long time, and I went to Boğaziçi to. So I went to Boğaziçi and he went to Middle East Technical University. I am happy with my choice of school, but still. So we talked about our pasts, and then he told me about what YGA means and what YGA means today. And at that point, I realized that we were worried about the same thing. We were trying to do the same thing because I wanted to take this initiative and bring it to Turkey, but I was worried about one thing. So it's called Beats by Girls. It's an international initiative, but really I wanted to do something in Turkey. I wanted to keep up with the musical culture in Turkey. I want to be intrinsic to the Turkish culture, but I also wanted to adopt the perspective that I was introduced to when I was studying abroad, because the scientific analysis part of music and the creative parts coming together did make an impression on me, and I wanted to do the same thing in Turkey. And I wanted to use our traditional values on one hand, and at the same time I wanted to find out whether or not we can be more innovative. And Sinan Bey told me, maybe you can join in YGA. That's basically what he said, and that was the first step of a long-term friendship, and we really are partners of a dream, as we say in YGA. So let me tell you what I did at the core of this project. So first, this project is called Sound of the Upside, and let's see the upside. This is the emphasis, this is the theme of the summit, right? We are looking at positive trends. We're not focusing on the negative trends or bad things happening across the world, but there's the idea that we're hopeful and focusing on the positive things that are happening around the world. So I was focused on that. Ayça actually mentioned this in the beginning of the summit. This is she mentioned the lyrics, if you remember, and from a very well-known song, and we talked about that for a little bit. Then I got together with different teams of YGA, and after all these meetings I started to focus on what I can do, how I can arrange the music, because a conversation has its own music as well, maybe I can put it that way, and I wanted to turn this conversation into music and the energy of the music in question. I started to think on that, and this beautiful project came along. So basically, when I started focusing on it, then I was introduced to musicians. Some of them were recommended to me by the foundation, and some of them I was introduced after I was introduced to YGA. So now we're all together, and I hope that we are teaching each other beautiful things. One more thing. I actually made this with all the sounds that you sent me via Discord. I basically made an arrangement of these songs and manipulated the sounds that you sent on Discord. So you sent me a sound, ok sound, and I used it as an element of the infrastructure of a music. So that strong sound going to the target became part of the infrastructure for me for the music. Or another example, for me, sound of I think there was the sound from Saturn that was sent to us for the Sound of the Upside project. I also used that in the music. I want you to hear it, but I don't want this to be a technical broadcast only. So if our guests are ready, I would be really glad to work with you. Maybe we can start talking to Deniz if Deniz is ready too. Hi, Deniz. Hello. How are you doing, Beril? Great, thank you. How are you? Great, thank you. So happy to be here. Okay, so when we were testing the broadcast, I told you that I can see you, but you are here, so I will be listening in by feeling your presence. But this time I'm not looking directly at you, right? But I am with you. My heart is with you, right there, okay? Okay, you're not looking at me, but you look like you're looking at me. Yes, exactly. If it's good with you, it's perfect for me. No, I'm comfortable like this. Great. Now, for those of you who don't know you, can you introduce yourself for a little bit? Sure. I'm a singer-songwriter, but at the same time, I'm a multidisciplinary artist. That's how I like to define myself, because I'm also interested in different areas of art, such as ceramics. But my main focus is on music, and I've been dabbling in music since I was a child, and I focused on this as a professional area since I went to the university. So I'm more of a jazz singer, I guess, but mostly I sing on stages, I make albums, I perform, I write songs. And sometimes I also produce content, but maybe we can talk about it later, right? No? It's okay. Whatever you want to do. This is a safe area, right? I mean, they allowed me to use this 2.5 hours time, so I'm not going to go over our limit, but we can use our time to have a conversation too. Okay, so here's the question. For the participants of the summit, do you remember the exact moment when you decided you want to be a musician? Because there are a lot of young people joining in, and it's maybe a milestone for them, because this might be the day they decide on what they want to do for future. And I guess, I mean, they are, not might be, they are. So when did you feel comfortable about becoming a musician? So it was actually not about a particular moment. So one was the moment of illumination when I was a child, because I knew that I always liked to sing, and I was so shy about it that I could not say this to my family. I always envied people on stage. I always wanted to be on stage, but I was not brave enough to ask for that. So I would have these top secret concerts where I sing at home, confined by the walls of my room. So I don't know how it happened really. I don't remember, but I think it was when I got into high school. I said to myself, I'm not going to be shy anymore. Things are going to change, and I'm going to start singing on a stage. So I made that decision when I was in high school, and when I started high school, my music teacher was very interested in what I had to say. So my teacher said, please do the auditions so that you can be on the stage, and I was so happy that I was now able to sing on stage. And the second milestone for me was when I started to professionally sing on stages when I was in university. But but at the same time, I studied interactive media design, and I had a job about that. So at some point, for me, the business, my job was very difficult, but music was flowing. And I said to myself, one day, I said to myself, why not put all my energy in music? Because I enjoy that. I love that. And after that, it was out of my control anymore, and I let myself go in the flow of the music, and it became my career. So, I'm so happy that you decided to keep with music. Absolutely, I never stopped, but I mean, I was so tired between the two. But I mean, that was a very short period of time. It's basically like a tiny dot when you look at the course of things in my life. But still, you focused on it and you made that decision. So, about the exact moment when you decided to be a musician, this is what you said. You said that a teacher, your music teacher, helped you in your journey, encouraged you, put out a friendly hand. I think that's very important. Turkey, I don't think this is the opportunity that we have across the country. Early musical education might influence individuals' decisions concerning whether or not they want to have a professional career in music. But at the same time, I think you touched upon a very important topic because as Beats by Girls, we want to somehow help or touch upon people's decisions when they hesitate in making one. Even when it's not professional, I think music can exist in people's lives because, I mean, be it amateur or professional, music is beautiful and you have to have it in your life. And I think you have covered that part of your life greatly. So now I would like to take things one step further. We talked about the exact moment when you decided to be a musician. Usually for people who deal with arts and music, everyone thinks that there are no problems. Their lives flow and everything is fluent. You never encounter problems. But it's actually like a roller coaster, right? There are ups and downs of the story. So what was the biggest challenge for you? I have so many, Berit. I mean, basically I can say every moment was difficult. But there are fundamental difficulties, of course. Well, for one thing, making a living. It's really difficult. Let's just accept that. I mean, stages, it's not like you sing on a stage and the money is flowing in. This is especially not the circumstance when you are living in this country. And of course, the harmony between the country and the type of music you sing, they're also related. So you have to think about that too. So when you take an alternative approach, things are more difficult. At the same time, production is, I mean, we have home studios, etc. But when you look at the equipment, or when you want to go into a studio to record, it actually requires a strong budget. It's very hard work, and you don't really make that money anyway. But persisting and actually keeping on is the difficult part. That's the challenge. If you are living in a place where you don't have the means to do everything that I said, things might come to a stop. So maybe you might even want to quit. That's honestly the situation. I guess that's one of the most important parts. And then there is the journey when you set out to find your own voice, what attracts you or what appeals to you. That's another challenge. And sometimes people don't listen to you. You sing and people don't listen to you. So you have to be able to cope with that. We had when you start out, your concerts may have 0 people in them. And there are 1,000 other things that I can say. And what matters here is, why am I doing it? You have to think about that. Why am I doing it? Am I going to continue? And you basically have to ask yourself that.
Okay, what motivated you? You were talking about carrying on, and that's very important. You're talking about a path, and there are not that easy sides of it. You have to acknowledge that you made mistakes, that maybe the first thing doesn't suit your actually liking, so you still need to persevere. What was motivating for you then? Well, production motivates me, creating things, expressing myself, and it doesn't have to be in the form of music. Rather than my tie with the music, that was about my motivation after choosing music. You may make a sculpture out of mud, or you can make a drawing. I act based on the same motivation. That's the entire meaning of life, being able to produce something and leaving my mark on it. I mean, that's how you overcome uh, troubles. You narrate things. You are in a constant act of work. By the way, let me take this occasion to say that I have been able to observe what all musicians do. If you don't follow Denise, please do so, because she has productions in different platforms. She also has her podcasts, and uh, she is definitely right in terms of narrating stories, and it's great that you do those things. Also, you, as one of the key takeaways, refer to making a decision and maintaining that motivation to carrying on. And this may be motivating yourself, this may be about making a dream come true. So here you are not limited with your circumstances, and you actually go beyond that, and you are one of the persons to achieve that on this journey. If you are ready, if that's fine, we can go to percussion. I would like to tell you this partition for you. Dennis today will tell us actually a verse from Yunus Emre's poet. In the morning, you listen to it from Ayça, I think also from Sinan, Mr. Sinan, and she's going to improvise. We're talking about the 700th anniversary of Yunus Emre, and here interpreting it different ways is a very appealing thing to me. I followed on YGA accounts that there was this composition. Some of the upside will do something completely different. Okay, I compose things, but there are guest musicians who will also make great contributions to this value. Some of the upside will be headed in a completely different direction. Denise will share that verse with us, and Beats by Girl team will actually send it to Discord. I'm very curious about your remarks. If Denise is prepared, we can just start observing her. Yep, let's see. Now, Dennis is moving to the recording area. Actually, I take my water from low, I pour it from up, see my troubles, and I am interested in the need of others. That sort of verse. She is going to interpret it, and now she's going to improvise based on my infrastructure, and there are sounds sent by participants, so we are going to improvise them in our musical world. I'm very thrilled to see what Deniz will produce out of them. We exchanged messages with Dilan and Deniz throughout the entire day. They were very excited as well. I think we're going to witness a great moment. If Deniz is ready, we can start, or otherwise I can give you an idea of what Deniz will do. Okay then. I would like to show Deniz's part as well, which is exciting. There is this short part. I would like to let you listen to that. Now, you can give it to me, Mert. This section you've just listened to is a basis. In music, Deniz will be creating the vocal melody just on top of that. We are creating an harmony here. I mean, in science and art, we say harmony. It is something we always discuss in music. So Deniz creates these verses on top, and violin, batteries, or other instruments will be accompanying that. As we discussed at this summit, we are talking about the harmony of the music, and we are actually creating something compatible with that. Now, Deniz has the floor. Bill will not speak anymore. I'm having a rehearsal.
Görünmeyen beterim, derdim vardır ellerim. Neredeniz bu olacak. Ben tekrar basa aldım. Suyum alçaktan çekerim suyu dönüp yüksek çekerim suyum alçaktan. Görünmeler çekerim, derdim vardır inlerim, inlerim. Oh, ba ba ba ba ba ba ben ne çekerim.
Şimdi Deniz belki bir kez daha bir take alabilir. Take diye ifade ediyoruz biz tabii böyle farklı bir deneme vesaire yapmak için. Şimdi aslında Deniz burada
Deniz may have another take. We call it take in music. So she performed this on the top of that actually infrastructure or musical basis, and I'm curious whether we received any messages from Discord. I'm checking the SoundCloud accounts and others. I cannot see it on my display, but no problem. People haven't made any comments. I think they are following us excitedly. That's fine. I just wanted to send the ball to your court on Discord, but that's fine. I don't know whether Dennis will have another take. Well, yes, she's having the second take. Maybe we can show my display to our participants now. Here you see this section on the display. Let me point to that. We're going to add a section by Dennis in this row. I think I can also send audio, right? Dennis will have a solo here. Here, I use the voice of a namesake. Barry sent a piano recording and I sort of altered it. Let me show you what I've done. I have this recording by Beril Abla, my namesake, Beril Piano. Okay, I will show it to you now. Beril sent such an audio to me. I'm going to make a listen it as a solo. Actually, this is an interpretation of a piece we already know, but I reversed it. I wanted to hear the piano differently, and in order to merge this with Dennis's part, I made such an adjustment. Actually, this is a reversal of the entire audio. So, making it sort of more harmonious with our production, and then I announced it as such. Reversal was a good effect. I think in the meantime, Dennis continues her take or rehearsal, right? If okay, I would like to check Discord, Mert. Well, I was looking for these remarks. We like the audios, we love the tones, we watch with great enthusiasm. Ahmet, you probably focused on the broadcast. He says, I forgot to type it here. You were stuck with the display, right? I can say that the broadcast is going in a great way. I love what Beryl is doing. It's very exciting. Would like to listen to your piece as quickly as possible. Thank you. As I was listening to Deniz, I forgot all about Discord. That's great. Deniz has great voice. They say thank you very much, Melike. Melike is one of the previous YGA presidents, if I'm not wrong. It's great to work with Melike. Also, the same with the other YGA team members. I had my doubts about whether we would click with Melike at the beginning, but we did. You are actually like gold, as your surname suggests. My surname is Altun, but still, thank you for the compliment. It's great that you send these messages on Discord. They are a great source of motivation. Well, one of them says you used piano, that's great. And here, actually, I started it with Saturn. You sent a lot of technology productions, and I think that serves the mission of YGA. If you need a feedback, I can say that you were all ears at this summit. And during the daytime, I was inspired by the arrow sound of Mete, and actually it had a huge impact on my musical basis. Semi sent this video from Saturn, and he says this is a recording by NASA. He says hopefully I'll have more interest in space, and we were talking about prediction in what will unravel in the world next. And here we should not just look at it as having awards, etc., but rather creating impact. And we ask the question of what should be focused on more, and Semi says there should be further research activities concerning space. Semi also sends audios from factories, quarries, and other platforms, laying an emphasis on the fact that improvements should be made to actually these working places. He sends another breathing audio, and it's great that you sent it. I was the person sending the arrow of audio. I'm really happy to see that you used it. Hi Emir, if you feel happy, that's great. Also, Merve writes down the themes from the summit. We look forward to the product, they say. We are curious about the workshops. Esma says that, and she was one of the persons to send an audio. Hi, greetings Esma. Beats by Goose workshops received applications from over 200 people in the second term. In the first term, it was 100. Well, we have just started. We cannot reach as a wide audience as YGA, but we will continue with these workshops. I was supposed to send you a heartbeat, but I couldn't. That's fine. We have used something similar to the heartbeat. Okay, we all forget about Discord, our participants say, and these things make me very happy. Thank you, thank you. Deniz, is she okay? Is she done? Where are we there? One more time, maybe. Are you okay, Deniz? She's doing great. She's trying. By the way, do follow Deniz, dear friends, because she produces great content. I was very happy to work with her. Also, I refer to YGA a lot, but let me tell you about YGA and Altka, who have projects for disadvantaged groups to make them more visible. There was this reporting activity concerning the refugee children, and I sent them an email about that research activity, and dear Elif Obdan got back to me very quickly. We met with her in summer. I'm sure that she's watching us, although she doesn't appear on Discord. Thank you very much, Elif, for enabling me to meet with a beautiful team like YGA and enabling us to make a great start with this initiative. I think that we're going to have more of this in the coming years. Let me check what they say. Hamilton, no people now ask about it. I am one of the trainers supported by Ableton. Thankfully, they are supporting our workshops as well as my regular works. To a certain extent, Ableton is a company dealing with music technologies, both in live performance and arrangement platforms. It's a very advantageous music program. They ask where I get this energy from. Well, I meet with that question frequently. I have this, I think, inside of me. I definitely have energy inside of me. Okay, you have all shared positive things. Thank you very much. Now, going back to Deniz, I think we can start. What are the features of your computer system? They ask. Also, I get that energy from music. I mean, not just music, also doing meaningful things. And I'm serious and earnest. I think becoming a good musician requires you to touch upon the stories of others, touching on the stories of other women, seeing the development of people on this musical journey is a very positive thing. So I believe that my music will enable me to do great things with this energy. Can we go back to Deniz? They say, of course we can. I think Deniz is done. Deniz, we had a lot of conversation on Discord. Hopefully we haven't confused you. Are you okay? Well, I muted you. It's great that you did because I spoke a lot in the meantime. Otherwise, you have to mute others too. I mean, that's fine. How does it feel to be here for you? Do you believe that it was a good record? Well, it was an unbelievable one. I don't know. We're going to see. We're going to listen to it together. I just know what came out of my mouth, but I don't know how you will fine tune it. I left other pieces for you to trim and combine. There are little surprises, so we'll see. Great, definitely. I look forward to arranging it. Also, I might sort of tinker with those live parts. I do not mean to bore people with so much technicality, but sometimes they find it entertaining as well. Do you have one last message to summit participants? And then I will ask another question. Maybe not a message, but let me tell you that it feels great to be here because when you say young people, that means the entire future. I would like to thank İKVS and AltCat because we implemented a project for children with them and we were addressing similar concepts. It's really exciting to do it live now. And we can say it not just music or other fields, we can say that for all our dreams, we should have an environment whereby young individuals and children can have those dreams. As we stated at the beginning of our chat, this is a privilege, and it shouldn't be a privilege. Actually, people should have the courage to imagine things, and that shouldn't be a privilege. That's why it's great that we have such summits and events, and it's great that we have people like you who make these events come true. Great things await us, and I like to be a part of it. Thank you very much for those beautiful, kind words. Last but not least, I will ask you something about the mission of Beats by Girls. What kind of steps can be taken for gender equality? What kind of voices does Deniz hear concerning the future? We wanted everyone to send an audio to us. What would you send to us? Well, hopefully we will see that materialize. Gender equality, not just in the field of music. I think that's Turkey's biggest problem, as well as a problem around the world. But I look forward to what the next generation will do, as they are all rebellious and rule defying. I think that future is near. We are destined for that. What would I hear? Well, maybe not in the form of an audio, but in the form of the lack of negative audios, like multi diversity with voices. We do not want to listen to the same story all the time. We want to listen to different accounts of the same story. So then we say, stay tuned, right? Wait for the future. Get ready. Yes, I believe in what you said, Dennis. Thank you very much for joining us. We had a remote connection, but we were able to produce music together. I believe that we're going to do many other great things. Thank you for becoming a part of it. By the way, for those who don't know, Denise has just moved and she spared time despite that. This is actually the first activity in my home. I sort of moved half of my house. Still, that is the best memory. And this is my first week of. Do you have any chairs, by the way, there? Actually, I have this newly delivered chair. Previously, I didn't have that. Good, great. Then we see you off with your chair and plenty of hearts. Take care. I wait for your audio files because I will integrate them soon. Alright, see you soon then. See you. Bye bye. Alright. Yes. Now, I'd like to say greetings to Dennis again. We had plenty of chat with him throughout the project, and I think this is the beginning of a good cooperation. İKSV ve Altkat gave us the means to do that. Also, I would like to thank Consulate General, the Dutch Consulate General, as they are one of the supporters of this project. I will move on to another topic now. By the way, I see on Discord messages like we're going to be soon. Dilan will be appearing soon. Let's invite Dilan then. A round of applause for Dilan. Hi Dilan, how are you? Hi, I'm doing great. And yourself? I'm well, thank you. I sent you some problematic notes, but I think you've taken care of them, right? Yes, done, no problem. Alright, I listened to some part of it. Dilan will execute my partition very well. I had certain hiccups, but I think you will have great joy in her execution. For those who don't know you, can you tell us a little about yourself? Sure.
My name is Dilan. Hello again. I've been playing the trumpet since I was 9. And I started playing in the orchestras, and then I became a street musician, which strengthened my connection with the trumpet. And until then, I didn't really know my instrument. Then I think it was in 2016, I started to work with Evrencan Gündüz, and I started to play on more professional settings. And since then, I have been playing with a lot of very well-known musicians in record studios and on stages. So I have a few singles that I put out, and I am trying my hand in everything that I want to. So I play and I sing, etc. Okay, so when was the first time, what was the first moment when you thought that you could be a musician and said, yes, this is my journey? Well, as a matter of fact, I started at a very young age. I started to dabble in music at a very young age, and it became a huge part of my life, and I knew that that would be the case. But I didn't really decide to be a musician. It was like I found myself in it, and someone made this decision for me, and I never really said something like, maybe just let's put this aside and I become a musician. I always wanted to opt for musician, so it sort of developed quite organically. I can't really think about a particular moment, but when I played a lot on the streets, it made me say to myself, yes, I want to play to people. I want to keep playing out on the streets. Okay, so I think I've listened to an interview of yours with Artemis Gülebaka. So I remember that you talked about a particular theme. Before you, I was talking to Deniz about the same thing, and she mentioned a music teacher, and I think the same went for you. The same was valid for you too, right? Yeah. Well, I started to dabble in music with a rec center. So then we moved to Istanbul. I didn't have my trumpet, and I wanted to get to know my music teacher when I was in high school. And I was lucky that my teacher had a spare trumpet that they didn't know how to use, and a relative apparently gave it, and they didn't know what to do with it. So my teacher, yes, supported me a lot, and it was basically like the movies. In movies, you see these music teachers who do everything for their students, and he was that guy. He was the idealist, perfectionist, pushy guy, and he pushed me towards music, and it got me closer to the music. And we used to he would give me free partitions. We would arrange songs together for the orchestra, and he still has a very large place in my heart and in my life. So he really did made an impression on me, and I honestly feel quite lucky that I actually met someone like that. Furthermore, I feel like my other friends and the band, orchestra, also feel the same way. So I think there's one thing that you touched upon too. Deniz said the same thing. Your music teacher in high school, she said that her music teacher paved the way, and so did you. So this actually tells us something. At a young age, when you are given a setting that allows you to lose yourself in music or keep up with the flow of the music, maybe that helps. So can we say that for persons who want to professionally work in the musical industry, I think that infrastructure or that support must be provided with a music teacher or not. This could be via a teacher, just like in your stories, or maybe a program that would carry that dream into a whole another level. So now, if you're ready, I'm going to go into more annoying questions. Sure. So when you became a musician, I mean, when you think about your career journey, what can you tell us about some challenges, or this was the challenge throughout my professional career? Is there like a story? Well, I actually listened to your conversation with Deniz, and that was quite enjoyable. And what Deniz has said about this question, I totally agree with all of it. But from a more personal point of view, for me, learning how to play the trumpet was a challenge in and of itself, because I was a lousy player. My mouth and my teeth, they were not suitable to play the trumpet. And honestly, it came to a point where I wanted to quit. I wanted to play the bass. I wanted to play piano or drums. So I was pushed over, basically. And for one thing was my music teacher motivating me. And also, I remember this one other moment. It was the first concert at a bar where I was playing with Evren Can Gündüz. It was a tiny hall, and we have the saxophone and the trumpet. So we had 7 songs, but we didn't. I didn't play anything else. I didn't have a mic. We didn't have a sound system. There was no monitor. My intonation was, I didn't even know whether or not my intonation was okay. I was so nervous that I said no to the next concert when Evrenton invited me again. I felt so inadequate. I mean, both in terms of my own self-confidence and as a musician. So somehow I found the brevity to go to another concert after a while, because that was a turning point. You know what? Because it's really easy to give up. And I said to myself, okay, maybe I can do this. Maybe I can try it again. So I think that point was, at that point, whatever is trying to break you, you should not stop. You should not give up. And you should just keep on being yourself. And that's what I tried to do. I totally agree with what you said. So I think in recent times, I mean, I am working with Beats by Girls, and I am also working as a trainer. I am also helping out to train the university student clubs at the university, at Boğaziçi University. So there's a trend that I see. Somehow the newcomers into artistic areas, they see certain challenges, but it's also like solving a math problem, because you basically push your limits, and the more you push your limits, the better a better job comes along, right? Because your first response is usually, your first answer should not be, I can't do this, I should stop. And I think holding on to that idea, it's great. I do think that you touched upon a beautiful topic. So shall we move on to the partition? So the once problematic trumpet will be shown to you. Will be showing us how you play the once problematic trumpet. Sure. So Dilan is going to play 2 partitions, and as she is preparing her setup, I will be looking into the questions you asked on Discord, and I will try to answer. And I think when she's ready, they're going to tell me. Beril, do you play any musical instruments? What are they, and how long have you been playing? Well, actually, much like Dilan, she wasn't in Ankara, but I was doing street music in Ankara. I was playing the percussions when I was in high school. And you know what? I have a friend who was working with me, who was playing with me on the street, and he's right now, he's in USA studying, he's a grad student in Poli-Sci. So we were doing street music, and it was definitely such bad music. We were just having fun, and that was basically the point. I mean, we didn't really set out to do great music. And then I started to really play the percussion when I was in university. When I was about to graduate, well, Boğaziçi University has this beautiful setting where you have a lot of student clubs. If you are interested in theater or music, whatever you are interested in, it has such a social setting that you can find any club that you are interested in. So I was raised in that club setting, and there were a lot of production put on stage by students, and I was playing the percussion at the time. So I had the opportunity to play on stage, but I didn't only wanted to play. I also thought about the electronic means of making music. I wanted to learn more about them. So I met Tolga Zafer Özdemir at the time, who was a lecturer at Bilgi University at the time, now moved to USA. I had a phone call. I received a phone call from him, and we talked about it, and asked him what I can do in Turkey, because remaining in Turkey but still having a link with abroad was important to me. And I asked him what I can do about it, and he said, okay, you're going to go into Berkeley. Oh, here we are. So Dilan is starting again, so I will tell you my Berkeley story in a minute.
Giriş bölümüne. Dilan, bir kez daha giriş bölümünü alacak mısın?
Dilan, will you repeat the introduction? I think she's going to have another take. Okay, so maybe I can continue.
Evet, o devam ederken. Şimdi ben tam şey anlatıyordum.
So I was about to tell you my Berkeley story. So I graduated from Poli-Sci, and then I learned that, Tolga Hoca told me that Berkeley had these musical programs. Sound technologies and electronic music was a department in Berkeley, and that's what I started to study. Also, I received some scholarships, semester-based scholarships. My family supported me financially speaking, but when you excel as a student, when you're a good student, you can get a scholarship, and that's what I did. And then Beats by Girls Turkish journey started. So I actually started this project after the final project for one of my courses. One of my friends said, I think you're a great producer and you should definitely meet Beats by Girls. And Beats by Girls wasn't, at the time, it wasn't what it is right now. So it grew and grew and grew. Then someone shared a photo of me on Instagram, and I was still a college student. I was basically a rookie still. So they shared a photo of me, and that's how it started. I thought it was a time when I thought about doing something about it, but I haven't started it yet. So then I started to sound design for a lot of theatrical plays, and I also worked with Tolga Zafer, who was, like I said, a lecturer of mine. Now, there's a podcast channel called Kaan'ın Sesi. I am doing the podcast. I am also producing music because I also think that it's important to be in the kitchen. And I also have this initiative, so that's what I'm trying to work on at the moment. And let me take a look at the answers or comments you have on Discord. David Kearns walking, is it David Kearns walking live? What Dilan is playing right now? No. Sound of the Upside introduction is what she's playing. Did you used to play on Tunalı Hilmi Street in Ankara? Yes, exactly, a decade ago. Are teachers this important? Yes, definitely. At the same time, I am looking at your answers on Discord. If there's anything you want to type in, please do. FL Studio and Ableton question. Ableton is technically more challenging. That's why everyone uses FL Studio. I think someone already answered this. I don't want to give you a messy answer, but it's like a coding language. So let me put it this way. Someone mentioned Refik Anadol, but imaging and infrastructure can be used with Ableton. So I'm actually working on that, how to combine coding and music together. By coding, I mean something else. With Ableton, you have seen the light and music and visual systems, and you can control them from one screen. In that sense, Ableton has a more developed technical infrastructure when you compare it with other similar programs. So I keep on saying good things about Ableton, but anyway, let's move on. Okay, people answered the existing questions. Let me just check if there are any questions. I used to consider electronic music production, but after this summit, maybe I can start somewhere. Yes, Mustafa, you can, but we probably cannot help you, but still, it would be great if you started. Click on the link for Ableton. Emir already said something. Your hair is good. I think this is a comment for Dilan. I mean, I know my hair is good, but I'm pretty sure that this was for Dilan. Dilan, is it okay? No sponsorship. No, I don't have a sponsor. Honestly, no. So, Dilan is done. Okay, let's go back to Dilan. Also, these misguided comments on sponsorship, definitely no. So, how long has it been? Let me answer that question. Writing it took a long time, but today the infrastructure, of course, the base of the song was made today, but before that I was quite busy. So now, Dilan, how does it feel to be here? How do you feel? I'm good. I mean, I'm very excited. I still am. So, because I mean, this is the first time I'm doing something like this, but being a part of something like this project, and producing something with valuable musicians and this beautiful group of people makes me feel so excited. Thank you. Okay, I thank you too. So, other than with the trumpet, was everything fine? Yes. Okay, so there are other things that we're going to solve when we are mixing it. If it's okay with you, that's perfectly well with me. Okay, so Let me ask you something. And I would like to go back to the musical industry. Do you think, for the sake of gender, what kind of steps should be taken in the music industry? Who should do what? Well, I think right now, the gender inequality in the musical industry shows itself in the gender roles associated with musical instruments. There are instruments that people think cannot be played by women or girls. So that's a big obstacle. Or there are certain instruments that are deemed more masculine or tougher, like drums or bass. Women can only play the violin, or they can do vocals, right? So they are, pushed over and over again in terms of the roles attached to genders. And it actually determines your attitude, and it determines the attitudes of families. And you know what? I think we have to say that it's a problem. It's deemed a problem for children to dabble in music because there's no money in this endeavor. So it's something that we have to override. And when there's a gender role associated with the instrument, the stages that you cannot take, it's really a huge problem. So in order to go through what I went through with my music teacher, I think those in education must be very careful.
In addition to that, in the industry, women need to be more presentable, and I mean, they are more presentable, and their music side is pushed back. Personally, I haven't experienced it, but I have seen my female friends going through such problems. It's really actually bothering. Still, by doing good things, we are able to show that there are solutions for these problems and that we can exist in a good way. Thank you very much for being present, and being a good executor is one of the actually areas whereby we can oppose to such mentality. I missed something, by the way. I was supposed to say it during Dylan's part. I expect actually hi in different languages of the world, because when we say hi to a more hopeful and new future, I would like to listen to the participants of YGA support, the audios of YGA supporters. Thank you very much, Dila, for sharing these moments for us, for dedicating time. Thank you. You are doing a great work. It is also great to be a part of it. Take care. You too. Thank you. Well, she said take care, which is all the more actually appropriate because I was stricken by electricity as we did these works. Now, my next guest will connect from the Netherlands. This will not be a live broadcast though. Still, you can rest assured that we had a very warm dialogue in the partnership of a t-shirt. Mihdevan Rittering, a violinist, will join from the Netherlands, aka Mimi, as he approves this nickname, will now with us in this conversation. So I look forward to your comments on this course.
Yes, I play violin, I compose, I arrange, and I produce.
That's fine. Yeah, cool. And I saw that maybe also you're working as an instructor, right? Music instruction. Do you make it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I teach as well. That's true.
Yeah, okay. So, do you remember the moment you decided to become a musician?
Yes. Actually, I am a huge fan of both music and movies. And I was always doubting, like, should I do something with movies or with music? And then when I was about to study, I just literally flipped a coin. And the first year I combined it. So I did film studies at the same time as the preliminary year of music education. And but it turned out to be music.
Yeah, that's nice.
And now I make film music, so I still combine it.
That's cool. I also make a dual study with the film studies, you know?
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I finished political science, but I also finished a certificate program in the university, film studies. Yeah, that's cool.
Nice. Cool.
Yeah. In this summit, there will be lots of young audience, and they are living the moment, the turning points in their life. That's why I ask the moment you decided to become a musician. The decision moments are important for them, and that's why I ask this. So, in this musical journey, do you remember the most difficult moments?
Yeah, there were a couple, of course. Funny, nobody ever asked me this question. I like it. I guess there was one moment. First, I decided to work in music, and then I just said yes to everything, and I put myself forward. I offered my services, so everybody who needed violin or this or that, I just said yes, yes, yes, I'll do it, and without any kind of financial compensation. So I worked for free for a long time, and then there was this moment that I thought, okay, now I've invested enough, and people come to me because they want me instead of me coming to them to offer my services. And then I started asking money, but then for quite a while I was out of work because the people who used to not pay for me didn't really feel like suddenly pay for me. And so this transition was a hard one because I really wanted to play and I couldn't because I wanted to stay true to my idea of getting paid because otherwise I would never get paid. So that was a shitty one. Yeah, and studying was also kind of tough because I did a music technology and the technology part was not my forte. So I had to work really hard to get that acceptable level. And then in my memory or in my experience, everybody in my class was way beyond my capabilities, or I thought I was behind. I was lagging behind all the time. So I always felt that I had to go an extra mile and an extra mile and etc.
What were the motivating points that kept you going anyway in this journey?
What motivates me is if I do my own thing and it gets rewarded in a way. For instance, if you make your own music and you try to fix yourself a tour and then people reply positively and you have a tour going on, this kind of things. Like you in Dutch we say you stick your neck out, like you do this and then it gets rewarded.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, those. Yeah.
And by the way, that was very I think interesting for you to ask to tell us that technology was the thing that you afraid of most, maybe. And in Beats by Girls also we are empowering next generation of women through music and technology. I think it was very important for you to say this because you can play violin very perfectly, but in this age also you have to be very perfect at this music production things and you have to know about the technology.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Now you become a part of a project called Sound of the Upside. And so this song, this composition contains a message for the future. Let's say hope for a better future, maybe focusing on the solidarity between people and not just focusing on the downfall trends. So do you have any last message you would like to add for this summit, for the Turkish audience maybe?
I think there's not so many female examples of producers and famous musicians. Maybe there's singers, of course, but not so many instrumentalists. And the fact that there's no example out there or not sufficient or not a lot of examples doesn't mean you can't do it. Just try if you want.
You can wait. Yeah, that was very good message, I think. Yeah, thank you very much. So how do you feel about this whole project? Was this good for you?
Yeah, I really like it. Maybe you know that I've been in Turkey for a while to do a music project. Yeah, I really like these collaborations between countries, like collaborations also between styles. It's nice, because what I do, I have my own frame, and if I organize something, it will be within my own, yeah, what I know. Like I have a cupboard and I put my own drawers, but then if somebody else puts something into it, it's always really nice. So yeah, I like this. Yeah, and I like the cause to empower women. I played with Karsu Dunmes in the Aya Irini once, and I felt it was very important to have a woman, like a strong woman, sending a message. I felt it was extra necessary in Istanbul somehow, in Turkey.
Yeah, that's very nice. Do you have any other last thing to add in this interview? You were very cute when you were say güle güle. Maybe you can say yeah. Maybe you can try to use a different word. Maybe another different Turkish word. But just yeah.
Okay, well, you have to teach me one then. Something cool. I want to say something really cool and hip.
Okay.
Burada olmak çok güzel.
An applause. So bye. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mimi, for being here. Yeah.
Thank you, Beryl, for the invitation.
Yeah, thank you very much. Bye.
Buradayım.
I'm back. Am I back? Yes, I'm back. Yes, we recorded it yesterday. We showed extra care to have a similar t-shirt. I know the atmosphere was a little different, but anyway, many greetings to Mimi from here. She worked with Karsu Dönmez in a project with another artist from Turkey. I mean, if I remember, Karsu joined another YGA Summit as a guest. I think this was a nice coincidence in that sense. Now, dear participants, I come back to this screen. We will continue with Esin. Esin Aydın Göz will accompany me as another musician, talking about another basic music element. We got the violin partitions from Mimi, we got vocal from Denise, and now we're going to listen to the piano part from Esin. Before hearing this partition though, I'd like to have this conversation with Esin. Hi Esin, how are you? Hi, I'm doing great. How are you? I'm good, thanks. How have you been doing? Well, this is a very enjoyable moment. I have actually an aching face because of so much laughter. I might have an interim blindness because of so much spotlight here. I might become a Majnun, indeed. Well, this is very glaring here and higher than 40 degrees Celsius, but we don't show giveaway, right? Yes, show must go on, dear friends. So, Esin, for those who don't know you, can you tell us a little about yourself? Because you have a very inspiring story. Thank you very much. I am a composer of movie musics. Indeed. I also work as an arranger, pianist, music director, and composer. Composition encompasses sort of all of them, because when you do a music, you arrange it, you turn all of that into notes, or you orchestrate that. I do it on a daily basis, and I like other musicians. I like supporting other musicians with their projects. The movies I join are generally indie movies, but maybe you've heard of this series C by Apple TV. It was launched in late August. I wrote music for that. Also, I had this piano recording for a romantic comedy. Also, the high school series of Disney was another work I participated. If you ask me what I am currently working on, I am working on a short movie which is a mix of drama and romantic comedy, and we have a flash mob project together with the Istanbul Orchestrate. I'm about to finish it. Beautiful. So you are composing film music pieces, right? Or are you directing? No, I'm just composing. Well, when you said I have movies, I thought you are also a director, or you're going to be a director, but still, this is exciting as it is. Movie musics are, of course, thrilling. We couldn't add that part, but Mimi from the Netherlands had this actually dilemma of music versus movies, and she wanted to do both of them, bringing them together. This is a beautiful field, and I definitely appreciate your path. I think you feel very happy, and at Berkeley you studied movie music composition, right? Yes, I loved Berkeley so much that I wanted to stay there as much as possible. I had two majors and one minor, and film scoring was one of the areas, and the other one was contemporary composition, where you have arrangement, production, etc., which help you actually stand on your own feet because you learn about everything, the technological aspects as well, and I'm sure you've discussed it in your previous interview. Also, writing down musicals, writing the music part of musicals was my minor. I do not want to confuse you anymore. Okay, you said you couldn't leave Berkeley, but tell me about the challenging issues where you actually needed to decide how to proceed. I think I had two things like that. In one of them, I was 12, 13 years old. I would spend my entire week in the actually theater of Mimar Sinan Fine Arts, and my friends stopped extending invitations because I wouldn't join any birthday party, any movies. I would keep studying and studying. Actually, I was sort of far away from music, and I came to terms with music by starting composition again. It's a funny story. One of my closest friends started to play piano, and we were in the same classroom, and she joined me in the conservatoire, and she wrote down a piece at the age of 12, 13, and I said if she can write down a composition, then I can even create a symphony. I started composition and I liked that so much that I wanted to do it as part of my career, as I enjoyed it a lot. Whenever I closed my eyes, I would imagine myself doing something about music on the stage or recording. So one of the things was this negative impact on my social life. The second was about my leaving Berkeley after graduation. It was a huge distraction because wherever you go next, you will definitely actually try hard, and going to Los Angeles and trying to be the best out of the best, having difficulty finding internships was a huge issue. I had 9 internships. I said I have a huge GPA, I'm a Berkeley graduate, the life awaits me. Not at all. You attend calls at studio receptions. That sort of broke down my motivation, but I was able to overcome all this. So you referred to this composition by Buse in your answer. What is Buse doing? She's having her PhD at Koç University on psychology. Buse's family would probably say quit music and continue. That's what she did, I think. But there are people opting for different paths. No one has to continue music, or no one has to quit it. Greetings to Buse. Is she watching, by the way? Because you were critical of her, said if Buse does composition, I can create a symphony. No, I had a child's mentality. Let me underline that. Okay, then we're not breaking Buse's heart. So kisses and greetings to Buse. Greetings to all Buses. So can we move on to your piece if you are ready? Of course, if you are. I'm all ready. As I stated earlier, Esin will play piano partitions for us, and I'm curious about how it is going for you. So I will check the Discord comments as Esin starts that. Having an animal for each person is great. Yes, that's what our designer did. I like penguins, and here we see a rabbit being used for Esin. Am I using Cubase? No, I'm not using Cubase, but is she using Cubase? Yes, she's using Cubase. Now we're listening to Esin.
birinci bölümdü. Şimdi ikinci bölümü kaydedelim.
This was the first part, the intro. Now I will work on the second part.
Bu ikinci bölümdü. Üçüncü bölümü.
This was the second part. Now comes the third part. I will make certain changes there.
Bu da bitti. Şimdi son bölümümüz.
Now comes the last part. By the way, you can't see, but I'm checking the display on the left-hand side for the notes.
Şimdi ben bir taraftan yandan bana Deniz'in yolladığı şeyleri de eklemek.
I'm adding the things sent by Dennis. In the meantime, these are the parts by Dennis. You can see her name. This one is a rehearsal or a trial. Yeah, that one was a trial by Dennis. Let me check the second track.
Çekerim, derdim vardı, inlerim.
Evet. Yine buraya geçtin, okey. Bunu şimdi şey yapıyoruz. Bunu bir yerine ekleyeceğim.
So I'm going to add this somewhere now. Maybe a little bit reverse. So now let's add the introduction. The part where it said suyumu alçaktan çekerim. Is Esin done? Okay. So we're going to add this, and then there's the full recording from Deniz. So maybe, are you curious about what is being said on Discord? So I will settle it and put it into place. So let's see what you have been saying on Discord. By the way, I will show one more thing to you about other partitions. Oh, Esin is done. Great. Esin, hi, are you okay? Yes, I'm great. What about you? I'm okay. Well, I also received Deniz's partitions, so I started to add them. I was showing what to do about it. We have seen how you play, and I think your sound was great. Well, I just played. Was it good? Was it okay? By the way, Mimi said that rhythmically speaking, you had certain interesting trials, she said to me. I mean, I actually like to change the syncopes because
but for you, I think some parts were easier, so I do believe that it was good. The only thing is that when it comes to the piano, I think there was a saddening part on my part, but I mean, overall, you have done great. Wow, we did it. Yeah, we did it. And we have been doing it, so I think it's all going very well. So, do you have anything that you want to add for the participants of the summit? Anything you want to note? Well, I have to say that I really want everyone to do what they're passionate about, because when I was young, everyone told me that I need to get a job that is different than music, because then I would maybe, if I can find some time, I can go back to music. I'm so happy that I didn't do that, because in order to do what you love, you have to spend a lot of time and effort. There are many nights without sleep, project over project, and everything that we do is an investment in ourselves, which is why you have to work very hard. Sometimes you have to cut back on the time that you spend with your friends and family, for a long time, that is. So if you don't love something, you can't do anything, and even if you do it, it's not going to be worth anything. So I hope that everyone who is watching right now would pursue what they're passionate about. You have done really well. I have studied political science at Boğaziçi University, and I did that because I wanted to do something different. Well, I mean, I wanted to do that first, but then after the moment that I decided that I can dabble in arts, I can do arts, or I can spend my time doing music or arts, things changed. Because at the moment when I changed both, everything became more peaceful and happier for me, and that's what I'm living at the moment. And you know what, so it's great that you've noted that. So the main message of Beats by Girls, I would like to reiterate that. So let's cover that. What do you think about the steps, future steps or potential steps that we can take for gender equality, because you've seen different examples from around the world? Well, from a musical perspective, I think there's still a huge gap between genders. So maybe the first thing that we have to do is to encourage young girls in music. Maybe they can be more interested in music, because when I was in Berkeley between 2012 and 2017, we were either 1 or 2 girls. I mean, there were 16 people in my class, and we were only 2 girls, tops. Think about this rate. And now I'm also at the board of Alliance for Composers, and since 2018 or 19, sorry about my sense of time, because I think I can't remember very well because of the pandemic. So right now I'm the Secretary General, and we are thinking about the further steps that we could take. We might organize some events, or maybe some trainings, master classes, workshops. We can organize such things in order to encourage women who can, or educate women who want to do scores after a potential education in music. Or maybe there might be other people that we can set an example for, because they want to do something in music. But thanks to these organizations, when we will organize this same event in a decade, maybe we're going to see different respondents. It's so inspiring for me that we are all here as women. I can't believe it, because I didn't have this example when I was a child, and right now I have goosebumps. I don't know what I would have done. Thank you very much. You have noted great things. Right now, Esin is in Istanbul. Normally, Esin lives in Istanbul. America, but now she's in Istanbul. We have a that was a question on Discord. So normally she lives in USA, but now she's in Istanbul, even though there's a remote connection. Thank you very much, Esin. It was great that we have worked together, and I know that you are going to be a composer whose name we're going to hear many times more in future. So I'm happy that we have gotten to work together. Take a really good care, and see you. Bye.
So I can see a few questions on Discord. The sounds that you hear at the moment, the musicians, they recorded their instruments, and they are sending it to me. So this is a 24-hour challenge. I'm going to embed them in the story, and I will put them in the live setting, and tomorrow in the summit you are going to see, you are going to hear the almost complete version. You're going to be able to listen to it tomorrow. So what about on digital platforms? I think that was a question on Discord, how to listen to it on digital platforms. You're going to hear the song in the summit tomorrow at the time that's designated for us. It's going to be ready, and you will be able to see the journey of this song. And I already showed you. The process, and we're also going to prepare a video clip, and you're going to be able to listen to it on January 7th. So the first week of 2022 will start for us. I mean, the summit is on December 11th and 12th, but stay tuned for January 7th. That's what the musicians say. Stay tuned. So now I am starting to wrap up this session. Final meaningful messages from me will be given to you in this part. So first I would like to say this one thing, and as Beats by Girls, we don't only do musical projects, we also have volunteering projects. By volunteering I mean that we are volunteers of rewriting the history of music, which is why we have a lot of different projects. One of them is called Crescendo. There was a musical definition called harmony, and it was described in the summit. So crescendo refers to sounds gradually going up. So you would increase your tone as you keep on going. So that's what crescendo means. So crescendo is a musical term, and it's also the name of our mailing list. So we have a weekly bulletin. Basically, we send out emails, and we cover stories of female musicians from the history, up-to-date musical production stories, and also we cover projects and events on gender equality in the musical industry, as well as female musicians' current work. So if you want to keep up with Crescendo, you can check out our website as Beats by Girls. So I will turn to this site. I am and I did. So one more thing that I want to say. While we were prepping for the summit, and Aicha has already covered this part, this has been such a long journey for us. We have been prepping for this project since the summer, I think. We've been working on what to do, how to do it, how can we relate it with YGA, what about the position, and this was a project that was so valuable for us, and we have worked so hard on this. And just like our other projects, just like any other project, there were ups and downs, of course. Last week, when I was prepping for this project, I actually lost someone that was dear to me, a friend, Ömer abi, who was a theater artist that I knew from Boğaziçi University. So I was prepping for the summit, and it was really hard to deal with his passing too. But when I was getting ready for this broadcast, I mentioned to Melike, I asked Melike whether or not I can talk about him, and she said, we always reminisce Doğan Cüceloğlu, and we always think that he is there with us. And such a person is important for me too, because artists should be remembered with how they contributed to the society, and that was the kind of person Ömer abi was for me. So I would like to thank everyone for letting me take a moment and remember his beautiful work. Since you are following YGA, I mean, I have to say that keep up the good work and keep on following YGA, because we're going to get together with different projects. I would like to thank all of you, every one of you. We're going to get together tomorrow, and I promise I will wear a different t-shirt. No problems. I will definitely change my t-shirt. I only did that to talk to Mimi. So take good care and have a good broadcast. So I think Aicha will say bye-bye after me. So see you. Berin, thank you very much. Your guests, participants, this was a story of succeeding together. Tomorrow, we are so looking forward to listening to the song. Since this morning, we have been talking about the harmony of science and art and music, and the one word that I found a lot, very frequently in my notes was harmony. So the uniting force was quite impressive for me because this reminded me of a principle that we like to ponder upon at YGA. So we are approaching to the end of the day one of the summit of YGA. So I would like to thank the consistent host, Zorlu and Zorlu Performance Arts Center, who always opens its doors for us, Harvard Business Review Turkey, our digital partner TikTok, Sound of the Upside partner İKSV, and Beats by Girls. I would like to thank you all, as well as Istanbul Consul General of the Netherlands. I have to say thank you to Avantgarde Hotel, who opened its doors for us, and Sociopix and 4 and more. I would like to thank each and every one of you, with all of our participants at present. So let's get together here once again at 8:45. And if you were to ask me who we are going to listen to, let me tell you our list of guests. We are going to be able to listen to Professor Gergras Obi, role model teachers of science mobility, Professor Sangeeta Bhatia from MIT, Kenan Poleo and Aziz Emre Günal from UK Istanbul Consul General, Anthony Ginman, innovator in education, Luis Valente, a techno entrepreneur in health, and Daniel Steinberg, co-founder of Eden Base. We are going to be together with all of these guests and more than you already expect. Thank you very much and see you tomorrow.